Just care less. Wouldn't be a problem if you cared less. Sometimes you got to look at the bigger picture. There's nothing you can do about it. Just take a deep breath and relax and care less about it, you know?
Happy Wednesday, everybody. It's Ryan, your host for the Skid Steer Nation podcast. And it is mid-December. I'm in Illinois. It's starting to get cold. We're seeing some snow on the ground. The holidays are right around the corner. Yet guys are still out there being able to get a little bit of work done today. And today we've got our friend Harold, and he's going to talk about his business. He's been around for almost 5 years now. Solo operator, still grinding it all out himself. And we're going to hear his story, his struggles, his successes, and find a few nuggets in there so that we can all improve as business owners. Before I introduce Harold, I do want to remind all of you a few things. We're going to read through these pretty quick. All of your skid steer attachments, guys, American made. skidsteernation.com. It's the easiest way to support the show is that when you need new equipment for your business, please give us a shot at skidsteernation.com. Business owners, sometimes growing your business is tough. You struggle, you have doubts, you're not sure if you're making the right decisions, and that's where a coach or a mentor makes a huge difference for you. Trust me, I've hired multiple. I speak with a guy every Thursday for myself, in addition to offering that service to business owners like you. If you think that would be beneficial for you, head over to groundbreakinggrowth.com. And just a few weeks ago, we announced the launch of Throttled Up Marketing. So it's a marketing agency, no fluff, no frills, frontline pricing. This is what you pay, no contracts. We've got a 13-year vet who's been in charge of multi-million dollar ad spends and ad setups and creations, website designs. And we've partnered together to offer this to businesses like yourself at reasonable prices to get you seen, get you ranking higher, and get you more leads. So links are in the show notes for all of those things. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the show so you get notified when we get new ones. And I'm done blabbing about all of our stuff. So Harold, man, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here. So your business is Iron Hill Excavation.
Yep.
And remind me, where are you located at?
Marlette, Michigan.
Ah, the old Michigan. Go
the
blue.
Heart of the thumb.
Oh, you're in the heart of the thumb.
That's what they call it. Heart of the thumb.
Okay. What's closest to you? Like Grand Rapids for big city reference?
I'd be like a half hour north of Emily City and about 40 minutes south of Bad Axe.
I think those are still too small for most people that aren't familiar with Michigan.
So I'd be like an hour and a half north of Detroit, straight north of Detroit.
Ah, north of Detroit.
So basically in the thumb, we're the heart of the thumb. So
okay. Got it, man. So you're over there by the water. You get any fishing in while you're over there?
Nope. No time. Too busy working.
No, too busy working. I love it. I love it. You started your business back in 2020. Was this a haphazard call because of COVID, or walk me through the beginning of this?
It was kind of a disagreement with an old boss. I was a foreman running a mill crew. We did all the prep work for asphalt companies. I had sometime between 2 and 3 guys underneath me, and we milled roads, parking lots, basically anything in front of paving companies. And I left there because I wanted to be home. I had a newborn at home, and I worked for a buddy who had a farm and a gravel pit. The farm was a mile from my house, and the gravel pit was about 15 miles from my house. And with plans of going on my own on the weekends kind of thing. And there was a weekend I was going to go do a side job, and they kind of threw a fit about me not coming in. And I called him like, hey, we need to talk. And he says, if you're going to quit, just quit. And that was it. And I'm like, well, all right, I guess we're jumping in full swing. And that was, kind of just out of the blue. And here we are.
That's awesome. And you're still running it as a solo operator, right?
Yep, 100% by myself. I got a guy that helps me every great once in a while on the weekends if I need someone to help me move equipment, or if I need a little bit of labor, or if just logistics wise, but pretty much 100% on my own.
Okay. And do you, I noticed that you do a lot of like driveway, either installation or, rebuilds, refresh ups, building pads, and some light excavation work. Do you stay in that lane because you're a solo entrepreneur, or like, are you thinking about expanding and growing, or walk me through what you're thinking with your business?
I honestly don't really have a plan. I do a lot of driveway work. My buddies call me the driveway king. I don't know. I don't really have a plan, I guess. We're going to see where the world takes us at this point. I'm crazy happy to see how far we've came in 4 years, but I don't really have a 4 or 5 year goal as far as growth. I'm 100% content of being a one-man operator, but I also entertain the idea of having a couple guys in 3 or 4 years, or even in a year. It's the workload this year has been crazy compared to the previous years too. So I don't know what the future will bring.
Yeah, I hear you. And I'll tell you what, I think it's a very important point. I probably bring it up pretty frequently in the show. But I think comparison is like literally the root of evil. So defining success for yourself, and if it's staying as a one-man show where you have control of every aspect of the business, or growing into 1 or 2 employees, or expanding it to 20 employees, like your path is your path, and define your success by your passions and your wants, and do not compare yourself to others in the marketplace.
Yep, 100%.
Because it's like, all you do is look at teenage girls, right? They jump on Instagram or TikTok, whatever else. And next thing you know, like they're fat, they need makeup, their hair's not curly enough. And it's all because of comparison. It has nothing to do with how they actually feel about themselves.
Yep. 100%. I've kicked around the idea of hiring a part-time office help, like a couple hours a week, just to help do the office side. I slack pretty hard there. I'd rather be out in the field moving dirt. But I don't necessarily need that either. I think I would go that route before I worried about getting help for the other side of it. But who knows what the future bring either,
Yeah. I don't know. You said you've listened to the show pretty frequently, and I don't know if you've picked that up along the way from me being repetitious with that, but I think that's an extremely smart move, is to buy back your time with low dollar tasks, which is typically management, bookkeeping, scheduling, office work.
Yep.
So that you don't need to hire the $30 an hour guy to assist you, or you leave alone that if he does make a mistake, it costs thousands of dollars, where if the office manager makes a mistake, it just costs you an hour of your time to fix it.
Yeah. Yep. 100%.
Yeah. Smart decision.
I have a hard time hiring. My old man had a business growing up, and I learned a lot from everybody here or there, but we got to the point we worked so much together growing up when I was in like my preteens and into my teens that he could literally wouldn't even have to point, look at just a spot, and I knew like, okay, we need to get material over there, or vice versa. And I got so used to working with pretty much myself. Now, if someone helps me, I go, wow, I'm grateful for the help, but I have high expectations, and I know that I'm not going to find my expectations if I hire somebody. I either want an old retired guy that's been running for 40, 50 years, or I want basically an 18, 19, 20-year-old that's got no experience, so I can teach them exactly how I want. Because there's not two guys operate the same way.
Right.
I've worked with other guys that they do things 100% different than me, and I go, okay, why? So this is how we do it. So, okay, that makes sense. Now the other guy might run 180 off of that, and that's 180 off of what I do. It works for them, but it's not how I do it. And so I either want someone that I can just say, go do this, or I want someone that I can train so they know how I operate.
No, and I agree with you on that. I mean, you have to hire for desire, is what we always say. That any skill that you need to be an employee in a business is coachable, trainable, and you can educate someone and teach them that. But if they don't have the desire to get better every day, to show up on time, to be polite to customers, to pay attention to what they wear to work, you're kind of fighting a losing battle.
Yep, 100%.
So I know most of these episodes, we just spend an enormous amount of time talking business, philosophy, life, mindset, and all that. But like you just kept saying a couple times there that your friends call you the driveway king. So I feel like I want to dig deep into that. Like, What do you do with driveways that everyone in your area is like, call Harold?
Honestly, I don't know. I try and trying to think of what normally I say, because there's quite a bit. I try for consistency, and I try to be the best it can be. I try for the term I was looking for is quality over quantity. I would rather spend an extra hour and dial it in and stand behind it than I can leave now, it looks good and it'll be all right, and go to the next one. Until it's done, I don't want to be gone. There's a huge, not a huge demand, but there's a huge way to do work that lasts and is good. And I got a couple buddies that give me crap because he says, you do too good of a job, they'll never call you back. I would rather do that. Do it once every 5-10 years. Don't call me, and then call me when you need it. No, I don't want to half-ass it, and then they go, why at Iron Hill out here, and look at the shit job he did out here. It's. I live in a small town that you can't do that, and word travels like wildfire around here, and almost all of my work is from word of mouth. I don't advertise hardly at all. Because
and it really, like you talk about, word of mouth travels like wildfire. It's negative word of mouth that travels like wildfire, right?
Yes.
It's like the old story about the lunch lady at school. Nobody ever said, "Hey, lunch was fantastic today," but they all tell her when it sucked.
Yep, 100%. As far as driveways, you gotta prep. You gotta spend as much time prepping as you do rebuilding. I don't do a lot of new driveways. I do a lot of like rebuilds that, got some potholes in it. Hey, we need some gravel. The biggest thing is you got to carve the potholes out. If you don't get rid of the potholes, they'll never go away, and they'll come right back. And
do you have any special equipment you use for your driveways, or do you just old school?
I got a grade box that I run on a Takeuchi skid steer. That Takeuchi is probably the best thing I ever bought in business. I had an old tired, or a wheeled, it was tired, but a wheeled tired Gale machine that Dad bought in 97, 98, I don't remember now. And that was the machine I learned on. I can't run that thing now that I got a track machine. It was the best thing as far as grading. So I run that, and then I got a 3-blade grade box, and I bought a Volvo roller, a 54-inch roller, and I roll everything. I don't even give an option on my quotes to roll or not to roll, because it just makes the quality that much better, and I thrive for quality.
Yeah. So, I mean, we sell grader, like the 2 and 4-blade grader, open box design graders for skid steers. And it's like all we constantly hear, because again, you always hear the negative, never the positive. But all we ever hear is like, if you can't do it with a bucket, you're a shitty operator. But again, now that you're a guy that does driveways on a very consistent basis, so I'm assuming you could build one with a bucket or with a grader, and you choose the grader. Why do you choose using a specialty attachment versus just using the bucket?
Honestly, I don't. If that skid steer gets loaded up for anything other than like augering, I do a little bit of pole barn augering, every once in a while. If I go with the auger, I won't load the box up. But if the skid steer gets loaded on either one of my trailers, the box and a bucket goes with it. I do not leave home without it anymore. It just makes my work easier. It makes my work faster. I cut probably a third, if not more, of my time out of my day by running that box every day. And it just, you think of it as a land plane. It's basically a land plane, and I can get a lot of the whoops out of it compared to a bucket. I've done driveways with a bucket. I don't even run my bucket anymore. I spread my material out real rough, get it within 6-8 inches, and then I put that grade box on, and I leave that bucket out by the road, and I don't touch it. I do it like up in the corners of buildings, because my box has basically like your skis or your shoes stick out a foot past the cutting edges, and I have a hard time getting right up along buildings. So I'll rough it in with a bucket, get it close, so I don't have to do as much handwork, and then I throw that box back on. I do everything with the box.
So you said it's a 3-blade, right?
Yep.
Is it a triangle shape? Comes down to What's the manufacturer of that one?
It's Skid Max.
Okay.
I think he's out of one of the Carolinas.
So he's down in Mississippi, but we're not going to talk about Skid Max. So Deemer Equipment, we sell the 4-blade graders. That's actually our design and our patent, and he started making ones that looked like it. I don't want to get into the whole backstory because fucking NBC wouldn't even believe it for a TV series. Because, when I ran Deemer Equipment, the family that owned Skid Max worked for us.
Okay.
And it's a wild story.
So, not to change, but you said, why do you run that? Or people stuck in their old ways? I got a company that I sub for, not quite as much anymore because I'm busy, but last couple of years I helped them whenever I had time. And I says, hey, what do you think about one of these things? And he rolled his eyes and says, you'll never use it. Don't waste your money. I've seen you work with a skid steer. You don't need one. Okay. Then I bought this track machine. And the first job I was on was a kind of S-curve driveway. It was my first job I did last spring, first driveway of the year. And first load of gravel I had brought in, I'm like, man, that grade box would be pretty cool. I've been kind of shopping for a while, not sure if I wanted it. Second load, man, I really need this thing. Third load, I'm like, I grabbed a tape measure, I measured the machine. Fourth load, I was on the phone ordering it when the truckload of gravel got there. So I went back to my buddy who runs this other company, showed him a picture of it. So I just ordered this, and he rolled his eyes, you'll never use it. And I don't leave home without it. It's one of them things that I spent the money on, and it made my work that much better, that much more efficient, and I don't care to ever leave home without it now. It's one of them things like sometimes you got to go on a gamble, and that was a good gamble for me.
Yeah, I mean, anyone that does like dirt work and gravel work, you can do it with a bucket, but I can cut a steak with a butter knife too.
Yep.
I prefer not to.
Yep. 100%.
That's always my analogy to that. When people are like, well, I can use a bucket for my grading. And I'm like, yeah, you can. And if you saw it long enough, you could use a plastic fork to cut your steak. I mean, or pick a utensil, but it doesn't make it the most efficient or most enjoyable piece of equipment to use.
Yep.
And so, I love hearing that story from you because like I can say it, but people always kind of have that hesitation because like, you sell them. And I'm like, man, but I'm not a salesman, man. I'm a business owner, not a salesman. So
it's a game changer, 100%. Topsoil, sand, gravel, stone, on a clean, clear stone, like a 1-inch clear is what they call it, where it's washed. I kind of fight that a little bit just because it doesn't flow that well, where I've actually put my bucket back on just to fine tune it. But anything else, that's the only time I've ever had a problem, and it wasn't a problem. I was having a hard time with it. It was just a short little driveway. But any other time, that grade box goes out before anything else. I'm on a big job right now, a commercial job that they called in, ran out of time, and we're graveling it yesterday and today, and it's snowing. I got an 850 Deere with a 12-foot blade trying to finish grade. So I get it close with that. I hit it with a roller once, and I take the skid steer over it with that box. I haven't even used my bucket yet today. It's one of them things is anything, if you get it close, even with a bucket, or I got one company that tailgate spreads for me all the time. Them guys tailgate spread, I set the bucket down, I don't touch it the rest of the day. And then you can grab it with that box and go, and it's huge. It's time saving, it's huge.
And I think at 30%, 33% is, that's probably normal. I've seen guys that cut it 40, 50%. I was
going to say, I'd say 30% is super conservative. Depends what you're doing. I graded a month and a half ago, I graded a 40 by, I think it was a 60 by 375. Went there one day, we put a bunch of sand in it. The pad was built, had to build it up some. And I roughed it from like a 3-inch to a 1-inch. And then I came back 2 days later. I graded it from 1 inch to like a plus or minus a 1/4 inch in like 3.5, 4 hours. And that's huge. That's huge. Oh, and that's gotten me work because people have seen my grade work with it. Well, I was prepping for concrete on that one. They're like, we've used a lot of people and we do it ourselves, but we saw what you can do with that thing, and that's why we called you. So
I think the other thing that people don't think about too is like if you do a lot of driveway work, that bucket spits a bunch of gravel outside of the roadway. You're
Yep.
hand raking.
Yep.
And that grader box, because of the sides, it keeps the material in the roadway. And you have very, very little raking or cleanup to do.
Yep.
If the driver keeps it on the roadway.
Yep. So my mom's got a business in town, and she's got asphalt millings. I built the parking lot, I don't remember, 10 years ago, just on the side on the weekends to help her out. So I've always had equipment around. And that was one of her biggest complaints. I added some millings a couple years ago, and her biggest complaint was the edges. Her edges kind of, snaked around. And after that, exactly what you said with that box, you can grab material and run that straight edge. And if you don't have it, you can snake that material from the center out and kind of grab it in a pile and run it, and it'll literally flow right down that edge. And you can make perfect straight lines, and there's 100% no raking as long as you're good with it. It's huge. That's time saving right there.
And if you're doing driveway entrances to $500,000, $1 million homes, that edge matters.
Yep. It's huge.
These people keep relocating from the city and the suburbs to the rural areas. They've got all this money because they're selling shit like they do in like Chicago. What they sell for houses, it's astronomical. They move down here to Peoria and they've got, a lot more money to reinvest into a home. And you start spending $700,000, $800,000 on a home or more. Like, you expect that driveway to look as good as the house.
Yep.
And if you can do that, you can charge more.
Yep.
In fact, I've got a friend, he's been on the show before too. His name's Eric. He owns a business. All he does is grading driveways, very similar to the type of work you do. And he's at the point now where somebody needs their driveway refinished. He'll give them a quote. They agree on the price. And then he asks them when they won't be home. And he sets it up to kind of be like, I'll do it when you're not there. So when you come back, you can have the nice surprise of the beautiful driveway. And in all actuality, he does it when they're not home because he feels guilty charging what he charges.
Yeah. Yep.
Because he gets done. Some of them he's done within 45 minutes. Sometimes it's an hour and a half. And he's charging $800, $1,300.
Yep.
And because he's just so proficient with the grader versus the way he did it with a bucket or a land plane in the past.
Yep. A lot of people, when I do a lot of driveway rebuilds where we'll go in and grade them and then gravel them, and everybody's always comment was, or every question I get all the time, how long will it take? What time you'll start? How many days? So we'll be there 7, 8 o'clock. We'll be out of there mid-afternoon. And same thing. A lot of times I hope they're not there just because it's efficient. And people go, well, that didn't take you very long. Yeah, well, you spend $100,000 or a couple $100,000 to get efficient. You got to charge for it.
Absolutely. I mean, and I guess I always say take the job that the person, your customer, does, and be like, how much more efficient would you be at that than I would be if I tried to do the work?
Yeah. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Like, oh, you're an engineer and you do CAD drawings and you can whip up this part in 2 hours on software. Great. It'd take me 3 weeks. So I'm paying for your proficiency.
Yep.
And it would look like a stick figure.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Well, that's cool. Yeah. And again, it really just goes back to, if you're doing specialty work and you're consistently doing the same type of projects, find the right tools, because your time is your most valuable asset.
Yep.
And if you can invest $2,000, $5,000, even $10,000, $15,000 to have the right tool that can buy you back half hour, 5, 10 hours per project. I mean, if you take that over the course of a year and 10, 15, 30 projects, like, you just bought back hours of work that you could either work on your business, which is your bookkeeping, your marketing, hiring new employees, or go find and add 10, 20% more projects if the phone's ringing, and be more profitable, all because you took the capital and invested it properly in your business, and that didn't buy 24-inch rims and a 350 Platinum.
Yep. And we don't, I do a lot of driveway work, but there's not anything we don't do, or I don't do either. I got excavators, dozers, earth movers. I do everything, but it seems like I run that skid steer more than just about anything else. It comes in waves. like April, May, I was 4 to 5 weeks out with just driveways. I didn't touch an excavator for almost 2 months. Come June's always kind of slow. June into July, like middle of June into July is always slow. And then August hits. Everybody's back in school, and it's, oh crap, fall's coming. We got this to do and that to do. And that's kind of when the excavator and dozer, it comes in spurts. I'll go 2 months without touching an excavator or a dozer, run the skid steer every day. And then like June, July, I don't think I touched my skid steer once in them 2 months, once or twice on a couple little projects. And then I did some bigger stuff. And now I haven't really I haven't had a dozer out on a job in over a month now. And, I got some excavator work coming up, but it's all skid steer work. I got 3 or 4 skid steer jobs just today alone of more parking lots and driveways to do. It's weird.
How do you charge for those? Do you do by the square foot? Do you do project-based price, cost plus material?
Everyone's a little bit different. I don't come in and grade without gravel. You get into a driveway, if there's potholes, there's a reason there's potholes. There's no drainage to it. And if the water's sitting, I can grade them all day long, but you're not going to get rid of the potholes unless you add material to get the water off the driveway. I got a formula kind of figured out. So many loads and so much per load for me to grade kind of thing. And then I charge a flat rate for my roller, whether it runs an hour or 4 hours per driveway. It's just a convenience fee to load it because it is a bugger to get on a trailer.
Yeah. So, but if you provided me an estimate to redo a parking lot,
yep,
would it have a set number at the bottom of it because you've calculated all that out in advance and like this is what I'm paying, or is it going to be a floating number that we got to wait to see hours material?
Normally, I can get a set number, and I'm normally within $100 on a $2,000-$3,000 quote. Normally, and most of the time I try and overbid, and at the end, especially not a lot of people pay cash, but if they pay cash, I try and give $100 back. Or if let's say it's a $3,000 job and I came in at $2,900 and they're writing the checkout right there for me, I'll knock $100 off. That's $100 to $200 depending on what a load of gravel is. My labor doesn't really change, but let's say I bid it for 100 ton and I use 85. 15 ton of material is a couple $100, So I try and do that. Every once in a while, I did one the day before Thanksgiving, and I was a load over. It was a couple $100 more, and that was a $3,500 job somewhere in there. So I have it. It's a set pretty much within a couple $100.
Yeah, I think that makes a big difference. Like from the consumer's point of view, like I don't want to know if it's going to take you a half a day, a full day, 3 days, and we'll just do the work and see where we end up. And I'm sitting there going, well, that could be $1,600 to $5,500.
Yep.
It's hard to budget or hard to grasp my head on the value of that.
Yep. So a lot of my stuff is word of mouth. My driveway work, I quote almost all of that, but like my excavator and dozer work, I very rarely quote any of that. It's all like I did a driveway tube. I don't know, a month and a half ago. I was actually on this job with half my equipment, and a neighboring farmer I've known for a long time called me and says, hey, we got a driveway tube half mile from where you're at that we need done in a week. If you can do it next week, come see me. If you can't, don't bother calling me. Went and saw him. He showed it to me. He said, okay, get it done. And that was that. I quote a lot, but a lot of the stuff is word of mouth, and it's repeat customers or people that I've known for 10, 15 years, and I just go do the work and give them a bill at the end, But I always joke with people as I make more money on the jobs I quote because it's the same thing. I feel bad charging, and I always fear I overcharge, and if I overcharge, well, that's going to spread like wildfire too. I had him out here, and I thought it should have been $1,000 job, and he charged me $2,500. I always tell people I try and think of it. If you were coming to my house, I want you to be honest and reasonable with me too. I don't want to be that guy that you're scared to call because I'm going to be too expensive every time.
Right. No. How well, I mean, you've got multiple pieces of equipment. How well do you know your numbers? Like, do you know what each machine costs you by the hour?
Nope. I
I'll
have
tell you
no
what,
idea.
Harold, take some time and figure out those numbers and like get granular on that and scratch your head all winter over it. And you'll feel real confident charging your hourly rate or your project
Well,
rate.
so I do to a certain extent. Like, I don't know, okay, it cost me this much an hour. I know what I have into them. I know what the maintenance cost. And I know where I should be hourly. I try not to work hourly, but I kind of bid it off hourly, half day, full day. I have a minimum. But I know, yeah, I guess, yeah. Drawing a blank there. Yeah. Like, yeah. Anyways.
Yeah, we just didn't. I mean, knowing your numbers, I mean, it sounds easy, and guys go, "Yeah, I know I need to do it." And I think we kind of shy away from it because either one, we don't know where to begin, and we're afraid of the process of figuring out, or two, we're actually afraid of knowing that number because we know that we're not charging properly. I find it's typically one of two.
I think there's a lot of truth to that. I probably don't want to know because then I'm like, man, I don't know. I probably don't charge enough, but then some people think I charge too much too,
Yeah. But like we just went through the exercise and got all the numbers and like my buddy, he's hired 2 employees this year, and his goal next year was to do like 750,000. And for the profit margin he wanted to maintain to reinvest in the business and make money for himself. Like we calculated it out, and I'm like, the only way for you to hit that number is to do 1.1 million, not 750. And that's exactly what he said. He's like, holy. So like we either got to readjust the goals or change the margins or, we have to, but now we can build a game plan for 2025 instead of looking at it at the end of 2025 going, oh, that's not what we were trying to accomplish.
Yep.
Got to be a little proactive. I think knowing your numbers is probably one of the most important things. How many hours, it's pretty simple, right? Like how much you paying every month is if nothing leaves the yard.
Yep.
How much do you spend a month in consumables? How many days a week do you have that you work?
I'm not 100% debt free by any means. I owe quite a bit on equipment, but a lot of my stuff in my head is paid for. Well, it's all paid for, obviously, but I don't have a payment out on everything. And so if it sits in my yard, like I got a dozer I bought 3 years ago, it's been on a job since August of last year, and I was getting ready to go get it and bring it home, and they says, well, I think we got some more projects, you might as well leave it down here. I just bought another dozer, so that thing's sitting down there, in my opinion,
so
other
did you
than
rent it out?
on it, doesn't cost me a dime sitting there.
Did you rent it out? I don't really
sweat that.
Did you rent that out then, or are you making revenue off somebody else using it, or?
No, it's one of my biggest customers. They're a farm about 15 minutes south of me, and they'll call me. I did 2 building pads and a bunker pad for them last fall and this spring. I took it down there last fall for that 1 building pad. They says, hey, we got another pad to do in the spring, and then we're going to do this. I'm like, well, I'm just going to leave it down here. It's too big for me to move every day anyways. And I wanted to grow into a smaller dozer, and so I bought my smaller dozer, and I just leave that down there, and when I need it, I just go down there and run it instead of mobilizing my other dozer every day.
I gotcha.
I was going to move it out, and they said, well, in the next month or 2, we think we got some more work. I'm like, well, then I'm just going to leave it down here. So, okay, that's fine. And so when I go down there, I just take fuel and whatever I need, and I give them a bill at the end, and, that's that. And if I need it, I can go get it. It's not like it's tied down there. I don't need it, so I just leave it down there.
Right. No, absolutely. Yeah. What are you thinking for 2025 for you? Do you have anything, whether it be for growth or services or things you want to improve in your business? Like where's your focus thinking about the new year?
My biggest plan for the 25 is building the shop. I do everything outside in the mud, in the driveway, and it's just I've done it since I was young. We never had a shop growing up, and I bum shop space as much as I can in the winter because it comes spring, I'm trying to do maintenance instead of going to make money because the weather's crap and nobody wants to lay in the mud to change oils and stuff. So 25, my biggest goal is building the shop.
Nice. You going to build that on your property, or you got to buy property, or?
I'd like to, I don't know. I got mixed feelings. I kind of want to grow elsewhere, but my wife wants me to grow at home. I got 2 little kids at home, and we got a farm, and I use everything, all of my equipment on our farm. So I think we're leaning towards building it at home, and then in 5 or 10 years, if I grow crazy numbers by then, we'll move out. But I'm pretty sure we're going to build it at my house and use it. Because even if let's say I moved out tomorrow and bought a piece of property somewhere, move the business, I still would like to build a shop at my house just to do stuff that I want to do every day anyways.
Right. How old are your kids?
She'll be 5 next month, and then I got my son, he just turned 1 like a month and a half ago. So okay. 1 and 5.
So does your daughter like to come out and play in the equipment with you?
Oh yeah. Whenever I'm home, she meets me every day when I come home. She's by the door of my pickup, and if I start something up, she's right there with me, just ready to tear the world apart.
That's so awesome.
I got.
Is that the highlight of your day?
Oh, absolutely. We bought the property from my parents, and I've been remodeling everything outside the last 4 or 5 years. And I got a couple buddies that run semis in the city, and they'll bring me fill dirt or material back from jobs. If they're coming home, instead of going back to the dump, they'll just bring it to my place. And she gets so mad. Like I hauled in probably 1,000 ton of clay last winter, and it was too wet to work. So I just piled it. And then come spring, I was out there. She was standing on top of them clay piles, yelling at me at the top of her lungs because I was getting rid of her dirt piles. Like, I'd argue with my 5-year-old about whose dirt was in the backyard. Like,
yeah. So I got a friend of mine, and this is correlating to what you just talked about. I have a friend of mine, and they built this beautiful campground facility. They built a man-made stream for trout fishing, and they had these gorgeous tents that were heated and air conditioning with running water. There were those luxury tents, and the place was absolutely beautiful. And at the very front of the entrance, he just put up this, 30, 40 foot tall dirt pile.
Yep.
And his business partner's like, why would you put the pile up front? He's like, oh, that's the kids' playground.
Yep.
And I'm telling you, every kid that went there, they ran to it.
Yep.
Like a pile of dirt.
If the weather's nice when I get home, I try and keep her from going outside when it's snowing and blowing because it's cold, it's miserable. But when the weather's nice when I get home, I got a chocolate lab. The 2 of them are up on top of that pile. It's probably 12, 15 feet tall to a point, a couple 100 yards, 150 yards of clay. I got off jobs, and it was wet, so I just piled it up. And every day, the 2 of them are up on top of that pile when I get home, running around
Yeah. This property, it used to be a gravel quarry before they converted it. So it wasn't actually dirt. It was actually a sand.
Yep.
So it didn't make the kids filthy dirty and all that.
Yep.
And it's just like a beach almost, right? But he just had this huge pile of it. And he's like, yeah, we're going to leave it there. And people thought he was nuts. And next thing you know, every kid that came through the gate was running up it and sliding down it, back and forth.
Well, and I had a sandbox growing up for years. So when 2 years ago, I had a slow month, and I had 10, 15 ton of sand brought in, clean, nice sand, so it wouldn't get all dirty, and augured holes and dug it out so it was 3-4 feet deep for her, and she doesn't even touch it. Like, the weeds are growing in it so bad last year, I had to go de-weed it twice because she won't play in it. She's out there on all them clay piles just getting filthy all day, every day.
She's got a sandbox. That is called your material.
Yep.
Harold, did you have a sandbox growing up?
Yep.
What's your fondest memory of your sandbox?
One that I don't know if we were on sand or if Dad dug it that deep, but I remember my mom called me to come in the house or do something, and I had a hole dug that was probably 4.5, 5 feet deep, about 18, 24 inches around. When she yelled, I jumped and went right down in the bottom of that thing, and she still talks about it to this day. Like, she had to come see where I went because I just disappeared. And I remember digging in that thing all the time. It got so deep and so bad that they made me shovel it shut because they were afraid of it collapsing in on me.
Oh my God, that's funny. So we would divide the sandbox in half, the neighbor and I.
Yep.
And then we'd build like little bunkers and all that. And we'd put all those little green army men in it, and we'd make our own, basically war against each other. And then we'd have like buckets of rocks, small rocks, medium-sized rocks, and we'd stand back like 5 feet from the sandbox. And the rocks were our artillery to blow up the other side. And it was without fail that every time we played this, somebody would get mad because you hit something or this, and next thing you know, we're throwing rocks at each other.
Yep.
So I think we've seen a couple chipped teeth and black eyes in my youth because of Army in the sandbox.
Yep.
To be a kid in the, well, for me it was the 80s, but I'm glad I'm not a kid in today's society.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, man. So we talked about your goals for 2025. We've talked a lot about driveway repair, the right tools for the projects. I love that we got to talk about your daughter for a little bit. What else is on your mind? Or is there anything else with your business or something that you dealt with this year that you want to like share your experience or talk about? Or
No, this year's been pretty good to me. We've had a lot of work and it keeps blessing us. You know, like I said, I got a bunch of jobs that I was kind of hee-hawing around about. People called yesterday and today, and I won a bunch of jobs already. It's been a dang good year for us. A lot of people have been. I'm on a lot of Facebook groups, and a lot of people are crying that I can't find work, and what do you guys do? And I can't relate to that this year. Not bragging by any means, but we've been steadily busy, surprisingly busy. And it's overwhelming to see the support that, the community's given us.
Yeah, I hear that a lot from the guys, especially that in the Groundbreaking Growth Program when they're newer in business. And this comes off kind of harsh, but I don't know a polite way to say it. And I don't know if a polite way actually makes the point across. But when you're scrambling to find work, like you reek of desperation.
Yep.
And the cute girl at the bar is never going to agree to a date with you.
Yep. Yep.
So you have to learn to take a breath, relax, and talk normal. Yep. And just relay your knowledge and build that confidence with those customers. Because what you do when you need the work is you rush the process.
Yep.
You rush your sales process. You rush your estimate. And you cut corners because you're just like, I got to get this job. And that's the only laser focus you have. And when you don't have a process or you cut the process, like everything starts falling apart.
Yep.
And like you, Harold, like you know, if you went without a week without work, you wouldn't like it, but it wouldn't change how you live your life. It sounds like this year.
Well, we did that. It actually wound up. I had a day in June that I had a day like I needed to start a project, but they were calling for rain. So I'm like, well, I'll just spend the day working in the yard doing a little maintenance, this and that. And I had about a week after that I didn't have anything coming in. And I wound up sticking my finger in an alternator pulley, and I got a 2-week-long vacation, 2 to 3 week. I fractured my ring finger laterally and cut, 2/3 of my nail off. They were able to save it and put it back on. And I got my 2-week vacation for the summer, and it was kind of rewarding in a way because I wouldn't work and I kind of got a little vacation. But by day 3, I'm like, okay, I'm ready to go back to work. I need to find something to do. And I don't know. I don't sweat not having work. I need the work, and by no means are we financially stable, but if I don't have work, it's not the end of the world. I go find something else to do, and when the work comes back in, we'll go attack it again. I got some people I sub for, and if I get days that we don't have a whole lot going on, I do maintenance, and there's always stuff to do. I just try and be able to cash flow, and it is what it is, It's business.
I guess the point I was making is that, like, when you are able to have a conversation from a calm, relaxed, normal point of view.
Yep.
With your mindset. And I think that's part of your success. It's because you're not rushing your process. You're not only thinking about, okay, I got to get this job so I can get that $4,000.
Yep.
And that's the point that I was just like, you've got to learn to build your process, trust your process.
Yeah. Well, and I think there's a lot of truth to that too. If you push, exactly what you said, you push and you're eager, people kind of like set the brakes. In April, May, when I was slam busy with driveway work, you show up on a job and you kind of look at it and go, okay, we'll do this and we'll do that. And kind of talk numbers. Okay, when? We'll see you in 3 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks. And they kind of look at you and, okay, we'll see you then. If you show up and say, hey, I can be here tomorrow, it's kind of a red flag sometimes. Well, why isn't this guy busy?
Yeah.
So I pick and choose like certain jobs that people call like, well, when can you do it? Week, 2 weeks, maybe a little sooner something comes up. Okay. But then I've had people call it, 9:30, 10 o'clock on a kind of a rain day and, hey, I got a water line that's leaking. Is there any way you can come out? Go look at it. So I can be here in an hour. What? You got me on a good day. It's kind of misting. We've just had rain. It's too wet to do my other projects. I'll be here in an hour. Oh, yeah. Okay. So if it wouldn't have rained, I'd see you in 2 weeks. So, you know what? I pick and choose where I go right away just because of that. I don't want to be a red flag. And then you get people that if you tell them you're 2-3 weeks out, well, can you get here in like 2 days anyways? It's hit or miss.
Yeah, I sure can, but you're not going to like the new price.
Yep. And I try and work my schedule around. If I can get them in, I will. Like, I had one guy needed footings dug, and I had a bunch of projects going on, and I wasn't sure if the other people are ready. So I touched base with them. I says, we'll see what I'll call around on my other jobs. I haven't confirmed the rest of the week yet on a Wednesday or Thursday and see if they're still ready. If they're not, well, I'll push them back to the first week and I'll get into yours. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It's all on the other, the people on the list. I don't try and cut corners for people, but, like that guy was a builder. I want to get his work. It was his personal house. Well, if I got to push them in the back a day to try and get a builder's work, well, I'm going to call and make sure first, but I'm going to do what I can to get that guy's work too. I'm
right.
hungry.
Yeah. It's all about that network.
So I try and bend over backwards for other businesses around because I want their work, but I still take in consideration that, homeowners are just as important as other contractors too, because there's the homeowners are going to give your name out and referrals and word of mouth a lot more than other contractors, I think. I got one company, they send my number out 3-4 times a month, if not more. They've been very good to me. But all the rest of like my driveway work is all repeat work from word of mouth. And that's huge.
Oh. Yeah, the beauty of having, basic numbers, right? 10 people hold a megaphone up and talk about your business so that each one of them has 10 people that hear about you. So you can reach 100 people while you work or sleep.
Yep.
We were just talking today and I recommended this guy to talk to a friend of mine because he needs some help with his business. I said, well, call, he'll take care of you and all that. And he's just like, okay. I'm like, I trust him. I've used him. I like him. He's like, all I needed to hear, right? Like all of a sudden, like we don't have to go through an interview process with that new guy because I'm vouching for him.
Yep.
Where your customers have their friends, and if they're vouching for you, then you don't have to get vetted.
Yep. And I did a driveway, I don't know, a month and a half ago now, and guy called me. It took me a week to get over there to go look at it, and he says, well, so-and-so gave me your number. You did their driveway this spring. They're really happy with it. I called 2 other people because I wasn't sure if I wanted to use you or not. The other guy came out, looked at it, said he'd be here in a week. He never showed up. Waited for a month. I called this other guy. It was the same thing. Finally, I called you. I was there a week and a half later, did the driveway, and it turned out. Why you waited to call me, I don't really know. but you already know I do good work. He's seen my other work. Like, why didn't you just call me from the get-go? I would have just came and did it for you, you know?
Right. Because people want to believe. I mean, I'm the same way, man. Like, I can get recommended things all the time, and I'm like, well, I think there's a better way, or I know a different guy. And at the end of it, you're like,
I'm just as bad.
I should have just followed my friend's advice. Yeah.
Yep.
Because we all want to think we're smarter. I think that's the downfall of being, I'm going to say, more male than female. We'll figure it out, find our own path, find our own guy.
Yep.
Like, I don't need any help.
Yep. I will not ask for help. I'll struggle and struggle and struggle. I'm stubborn, but I get it, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, but then you get in here. I'm going to take a guess, Harold, that you're like the average. You're the normal male.
Yep.
You struggle and hate asking for help, and on the other side of the coin, I bet you get pissed off when people struggle, and you're the first one to go, "Why didn't you call me for help?"
Yep. 100%. 100%. No, I don't know. I try and ask for help if I know I desperately need it. But I've been let down enough times, you know, oh yeah, I'll be there, and then people don't show up. I'm at the point now, if I'm going to struggle after I help you, I'm not going to ask you. Like, I'd rather just struggle and not get let down and not worry about it than ask and then get let down and then struggle anyways. I just struggle by myself, you know? But.
No, I hear you. Our expectations are the killer, man.
Yeah.
Whether it be on kids, wives, family members, employees, like when we have expectations, that's when things happen negatively to us.
Yeah.
In fact, I've quit having expectations of most people. Life's a lot easier, Harold.
I don't know, my brother-in-law told me this. It took me like 22 years to learn it, and it still irritates me, but I kind of grumbled to him about something, and he'd look at me, just grin and care less. So what? Just care less. Wouldn't be a problem if you cared less. There's 100%. Like, I care too much about too much, but sometimes you got to look at the bigger picture. There's nothing you can do about it. Just take a deep breath and relax and care less about it, you know? You can't fix the outcome of it. Care less about it, you know?
Yeah, I mean, if the news starts getting you agitated, quit watching it. Care less. Yeah. I think your advice is fantastic for many areas of life. Like the guys that own businesses, care about your customers, care about the quality of your work you do. It's the outside noise. Don't let it be the distraction. Care less about that stuff. Care less about the NFL game on Sunday. Care less about whatever.
You can't worry about what John's doing next door. Well, he's running 18 employees. And you're by yourself, so what? If that's where he wants to be, care less about him, you know? Hey, congratulations on your new guy. Must be nice, you know? I hate the term must be nice, but like that, if that's what you want to do, let him do it. I don't need it. I'm happy where I'm at. I'm going to stay where I'm at, you know? And
actually, Harold, like that comment, it must be nice, is people trying to pull you back down to their comfort level because they're not business owners. They're afraid of success. I learned a long time ago, like when someone's like, oh, that must be nice, I look them straight in the eyeball and I say, it is.
Yep. I
don't have any guilt about it. Like I know what struggles I've been through, and I know what failures I've had to deal with. I know what late nights I've worked, what I've sacrificed. It's damn right it's nice.
Yep.
I don't shove it in your face, but I'm not going to be embarrassed by it.
Yeah. I said that to a guy last year, farmer up about an hour north of me, as a joke, because I got some friends that we kind of do that back and forth. Oh, it must be nice kind of thing, you know, whatever, as a joke, because that's what everybody always says. And he got done with crops earlier and his deer hunting, like earlier than everybody else. And I texted him, this must be nice. And he looked at me, or he messaged me back and says, you got the same 24 hours in a day as I do. Yeah, it is nice. Like, and that stuck with me. I wasn't saying it as a jealousy thing. I was kind of poking the bear about it. And it made my eyes open up. Now when people say, oh, you know, I wish I had, we have the same 24 hours in a day, me and you. I take and there's days that I start at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. There's days I get done at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. But I prioritize my time so I can do that. You know, if I know I got to be home at 6 o'clock to do something with my family, I try and start at 6 o'clock that morning so I can get home, but I still get a full day's in. I don't start, I'm going to start at 9 o'clock and then I'm going to leave at 5 o'clock. No, I'm going to start early and get done early, or if I start late, I'm going to work late because that's the 24 hours I have to get a project done.
Right.
Or if rain's coming, I'm going to work a little longer that day. And then I'll take a rain day off. People go, well, it must be nice to be able to get rain days off. Well, I bust my ass this week to be able to do that.
That's when you just turn around and go, it must be nice to get paid on a rain day.
Yeah, you have the same 24 hours in a day as I do. You could have prioritized,
No, it's true. And you just have to be proud of where you're at on your journey. Yep. Accept where you're at on your journey. Be proud that you're on this journey, whether it's at the first step or the 100th step. And when people want to drag you back down, kick them in the face, figuratively. No, I'm not going back down into those dens.
Yep.
And when they, make those comments, it must be nice, stand up tall, straight, and go, yes, it is.
Yep.
Because they would probably, most of the people that say that would crack after 3 days of trying to operate all the aspects of the business that you handle.
Yep. Well, a lot of people don't get it. You see it, okay, we're putting hours in, but you don't see that after I put my kids to bed, I go do quotes or do paperwork, or you get up early and then take the kids to school. I remember one day my wife said, I took the kids to school and I didn't leave till 8:30, 9 o'clock to go do a job. And she says, well, I thought you started at 5. I said, yeah, I went and spent 2 hours getting stuff ready, took the kids to school. People don't realize how much is entailed to the day before you even see me or after you see me in a day, My day doesn't end at 3 o'clock when I get home. I might go spend time with my family, but then after I put them to bed, there's been nights I work at 10, 11 o'clock on quotes trying to get stuff together because I want to spend time with my family too, People don't see that.
I love that you have that boundary of these hours in the evening, even if it's 1 or 2.
I do and I don't. It really depends. I try to at least give them an hour or two when, when I was young, my old man, he slept in a dump truck every night. I remember there was one year he had so much work he couldn't get caught up. He would operate all day and then he'd sleep across the seats of the dump truck. They were doing an underground job and he was for hire with the truck and we didn't see him for a couple weeks. And there was a year that I never saw him at all because he was chasing the dollar so hard. You might see him on Sunday and he'd be sleeping. When I went into business, I says, I got a half-hour radius of home and I'm not letting the business own me. I'm going to own the business. I don't mind putting time in. I thrive with what I do. I love what I do, but my family's a priority over that business. I could shut the doors today and go somewhere else, but I would start over and do it again, but I would make it so that I owned it, I ran it.
Yeah.
It's not controlling me. I'm controlling it.
And again, it's just being clear. It's taking that time to be clear with your priorities and what's important to you in your personal life. Because most guys will convince themselves that if I work 16 hours a day, 7 days a week, it's for my family.
Yep. I do that a lot too. I try not to, but I do that also. Best advice I ever got, I did a job for a builder this year, and we were talking about work and family, this and that. And he says, get home, go spend time with your family. It's okay. So when you get home, shut your phone off, leave in your truck, and go spend time with your family. You can't go home and do everything you do every day and then go home and not spend time with your family. Yeah, you're there, but you're not existent in their lives because you're focused everywhere else. Shut your phone off. There was a night I came home and I just had enough. It was one of them days that just nothing went wrong, but it was just the phone never stopped. I got home, sat on the bathroom counter. We were eating dinner, doing something. My phone rang, and my wife says, aren't you going to go see who called you? Nope. So what do you mean? Just be there tomorrow. I've had enough of it. I don't care. Well, it's after hours. It was after 6 o'clock. I'm all about answering the phone 24 hours a day, but you got to understand that I have a personal life too. I'm married to the business, but you got to pick and choose. Like I really try not to call people after 8 o'clock at night or after 7 o'clock at night. I try not to call people on the weekends if I can help it. Have some respect back to me too, I'm grateful for the work and I'll drop anything to try and help you. But if I don't answer, leave a message. I'll call you back,
Right. Yeah. And I think it's as simple as adding to your voicemail that, any calls received after 6 p.m. will be responded to tomorrow. In the case of emergency, please send a text message or,
Yep.
But again, it's communication to the customers.
Yep.
And you set those boundaries. If you have a customer that calls you all the time and you finally look at them and go, listen, I don't answer the phone after 6 p.m. I'm with my kids and we do dinner and I don't care if you call me at 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
You set that boundary, like 9 times out of 10, they'll respect it.
Yep.
But it's when you don't set the boundary and then you feel like you're getting abused and you're like, well, you are because you didn't tell them what you're willing to take and what you're not willing to take.
Yeah. And sometimes the phone rings at I've had it go off at early as 5:30 in the morning. And honestly, I'd rather go off at 5:30 in the morning than at 10 o'clock at night. It just means I wasn't up early enough and it's time to go start the day. It's, doesn't really irritate me. Excuse me. The after 8 o'clock thing kind of irritates me a little bit just because it's, we get up early every day and go. When I ran a mill, we ran 75, 80 hours a week. And my foreman at the time, I was selling something one of his buddies wanted real bad. He'd call me at like 10:30 every night. And I said something to the guy, my foreman. I says, dude, why does this guy keep calling me? He's calling me at 4:30 when you get up here. It's 3:30. I ain't doing that. Just say something to him. And so he wound up saying something to him, but it's like, we get up at the butt crack of dawn. Why are you bugging him at 10:30 at night? Like, I've been in bed for an hour. I'm trying to sleep because I got to get up in 4.5 hours. Leave me alone,
Right.
It's just a respect thing, That's why I say I try not to call or text anybody with business purposes until like basically 8 to 6, 8 to 7, somewhere in there, or if I send something out, a lot of times I send quotes out between 6 and 10 at night. I'll send it out and then I'll text them. If it's after 8, I'll text them in the morning. Hey, I sent you a quote. Let me know what you think,
Yeah.
It's one thing if your email goes off, ding, whatever. But I'm not going to text you with it, too. If it's somebody I know, repeat customer is a little bit different. But if it's after 8 o'clock, I will not send it out. I'll send the quote, but then send the text in the morning to follow up.
So the other thing you could look at doing, and I don't know, do you use a software to send those quotes, or are you doing just your own personal email address?
I got a business email. I do a lot on Excel, but I'm leaning into Joist, and actually I've been listening to you guys a lot since your office girl got a hold of me. And after listening to you, I've had Joist on my phone for a year now, and I wouldn't pay for it, and I've been just being cheap about it. And I plow snow for a guy, and he's being cheap about upgrading into a software for us. And one day I was sitting in the office last week. I'm like, you know what? I gave him a bunch of crap because he won't help us help him. Why are you not doing the same thing with your business? So I paid the difference in Joist, and I'm going to start utilizing it a lot more than what I do.
Well, and for you and any other listeners that catches this, it should it should still be available when this episode launches. But if you go to, and I'll have Kim send you the link to it, but Toolbox, Tulboxx, it's spelt a little off. Toolbox.com. It's actually a software that we're developing here at Skid Steer Nation to help write estimates and social media content for you guys. And it's in the beta stages right now. So if you go to toolbox.com and it'll say create an account, it's no charge, no credit card. We're looking for feedback from guys. We're hoping to launch it in January. But we've incorporated artificial intelligence. We walk you through a list of questions, and then we can generate your estimate. And then the goal is to be able to generate that estimate into an invoice, market paid. It's going to be simple. It's more about for guys like you, right? Like you're going from Excel. Here's a professional template, professionally written. You can convert it to an invoice. And while we're using artificial intelligence and maneuvering it for what we want on the estimate side, let's create another side of that where We just ask a few questions. You give basic answers like that, and we can actually generate your social media content for you too. And you just copy and paste it into your calendar or into your social media accounts. And, you're able to stay consistent and all that. So,
That's good to know.
But you're welcome to try it out, Harold.
Yeah, I'll look into that.
Yeah. Man, we are cruising by. We've already been, we just zipped right past the hour mark. I've been watching dump trucks go by you in the side window there a couple times in this time. Are you on a job site today?
Yeah. It's been snowing and raining all morning, and it was a project that a company tried taking on themselves. They fire them and do a little bit of everything, and they're building a tire shop. And I drove by it all summer long. Man, I should call them. I know them. I try not to call and look for work. I just kind of despise that. And finally, one day I stopped in a gas station to get something to drink one day, and one of the owners pulled in front of me. He said, "How busy are you?" I said, "Pretty busy. What do you got?" He said, "Well, we need help up there. We can't get it done." And so I came in. I finished grading it a month ago, and then we've been putting gravel down all day, yesterday and today, and trying to get them a driveway and parking lot opened up so they can open up their business here hopefully pretty soon. So it's, yeah, one of them days we've been playing the weather. We had a hard freeze last week and snow and rain and not ideal conditions to be out here, but we're out here trying to get it wrapped up.
I mean, it's pretty awesome. You're north of Detroit, Michigan, and you're working in the second week of December. So
yeah, last year wasn't, but the last couple years before that, like first week of December, snowed out, and we're done. And I have probably another week, 2 weeks worth of work right now from the last couple of days. And I told the one guy, he called me this morning, buddy of mine, we looked at it 2 weeks ago, and he called me, he says, "Got the green light." He says, "Well, we'll play the weather." He says, "We got frost coming, we got snow coming." Well, okay. And then I got looking at the radar and the weather, and we got 40s coming. And he says, "I'll be there Monday." It's really? And he says, "Well, we'll see what it does. If it turns to crap, no, but as long as the weather holds out, we'll keep pushing. If not, you'll be first on the list in the spring." So super grateful, but it's cold. I got all my open cab equipment out here today, and I insulated jeans, long sleeve shirt, sweatshirts. I wound up putting my bibs on. I was turned into a popsicle for a couple hours, but this keeps everybody happy, I guess.
Yeah, that's right, man. That's right. Well, Harold, I can't thank you enough for taking time out of your day and, finding a space in your truck to be able to have this conversation with us. It was a pleasure to sit and talk with you. I love that we get to talk about so many different aspects of like business life and then getting into like, efficiencies with some types of projects. So thank you so much for sharing your knowledge, your experience with us and our audience, and appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thanks for the opportunity. I got one question before we end. How'd you find me? Just curiosity.
Everybody asked me that question. I did not find you. I can't take any credit for that. I preach processes and frameworks, right?
Yep.
So I literally have a document that I created that gives examples about going through the Skid Steer Nation community Facebook page, about going through my personal page, and even on Instagram, looking for accounts that have a minimum of this many followers, that looks like this many photos of this equipment.
Okay.
And I have Kim, my assistant. She spends a couple hours a day, and she just searches social media sites, looks for people that are somewhat active, the pictures fit the realm, does a little research on you, and then she starts reaching out. And, I'd say 1 in every 10 actually agree to do the show with us. But like, again, I built a process so I don't have to go find guests. I can hire and I can delegate that to another team member. And you can do that with just about every part of your business, right? So not only do we preach systems and processes, like we follow them pretty diligently around this workspace here.
Just curiosity, I guess. It's like small town nowhere, and called me to be on a podcast. It was quite an honor. So I appreciate it.
Well, that's awesome, man. I'm glad that you enjoyed it. I'm glad that you were excited to come on, be a part of it. And I hope you can leverage this in your local community to get more trust and more credibility with people in your area. I've seen businesses use it, because who's inviting the new guy to be on an industry podcast, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So you can leverage that in your local community, hopefully, and it'll help you grow your business as well. So
yeah. Well, maybe we'll do another one in a year or two and see what things have changed from today till then, you know.
Get that shop done. Get your daughter full-time in the cab, running her own equipment.
Yep. I started when I was 5. There's no reason she can't.
Yeah, let's rock and roll this thing, man. We're just going to expand the business organically through children. I love it.
Yep. Well, have a good day. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thanks, Harold. Guys, all the links to Skid Steer Nation, Groundbreaking Growth, and the new marketing venture, Throttled Up, are in the show notes. Just click the expand button. You can see them down in there. If you're on YouTube, it's the same thing. You just click the expand. Please don't forget to like and share if you're on Spotify, Apple, and YouTube. And we will see all of you next week.